Okay, the next thing on the list says talk. So, this is where I'm going to talk. I don't know if everybody got one. I'm going to kind of follow this in talking about some of the topics that it talks about. Again, the focus for this week is changes. And I was told the decision to seek God's will, to humbly ask for help with the changes that need to happen in my life is what this is about. And I know for myself, having had trouble with certain issues in my life and trying to resolve them myself, that I'm powerless over certain things. And I also realize that in struggling with personal defects, qualities about myself that I don't like, and I have every intention of being different, but I can't change them by myself. I have to ask a higher power of one sort or another into my life to change these things. An example of this is last June, I had triple bypass surgery. I had some heart pain. Wasn't a heart attack. I just had some pain in my chest and got it checked out, and the result of that was heart surgery. And the reason that happened, though, was because of my decisions. First of all, I believe that accepting responsibility for my life is the beginning of what sets me free. I accept the responsibility. I accept the fact that my life is today the way it is because of everything that I've thought and said and done up until this point in time. That's what makes my life what it is. There are, certain situations where I'm pushed one way or another by circumstances, but still my choices have determined basically where I am in life right now. There are things that I can't control. I was born into a certain family at a certain geographical location and things like that, but for the most part, I believe that that my choices make me who I am. And at one point, my choices weren't made by the real me. Let's put it that way. I'm talking about addiction. I'm talking about when I sought refuge in substances, and although I take responsibility for everything that I did there, I believe that I like the way it was said at one point. I made a lot of bad choices until one day I had no choice at all to make. It wasn't my decision to keep on using. I was using against my will, but there was nothing that I could do about it. And I'm not trying to deflect responsibility. I was responsible for getting myself into that situation. It's just that I couldn't get myself out of it by myself. And with that realization, I realized too that once I did this self-examination, once I looked at my life and tried to determine why I acted and thought the way that I did, once I did the self-examination, I found out that I had learned a lot of things wrong. First of all, I had learned the lessons that advertisers want me to know. That if I don't drink this and drive that and smoke this and wear this and live in this community, that I'm not all that I can be. I'm not worthy. And I listened to a lot of those messages. I had a lot of negative self-talk, and I need to change that. My habits are something that I like something that I had read a long time ago. It says that the chains of habit are too light to be broken until they're too heavy, too strong to be broken. They're too light to be felt until they're too strong to be broken. Habits sneak into my life. The pain that I caused myself with my surgery last summer, those were my decisions. Those were bad decisions that I made, and those are decisions that I need help making, to change. And this is all about change. So if I want to change, I need to first admit that there's something to change. I know that no help was available to me at any point in my life until I admitted that I need help. My pride, my ego would tell me that You know, and I've had people offer me help. You know, can we do something? Can you know? Do you need something from us? And I would always turn it down. No, I've got this. I'm good. You know, until I admit the need for help, help is not available. Once I admit the need for it, help becomes available. In fact, more help than I'm usually expecting becomes available. I'm surprised at the options that come open to me when I ask for help in almost any given situation in my life that I need help with. Not only that, it seems like people are very willing to help. You know, to refuse to ask for help is to deny somebody the opportunity to be helpful. I'm sure we've all felt that when I get to help a fellow man, it does something to me. What it does to me, I think, is it gives me this connection. It makes me feel connected with the human race, and at times I can feel very disconnected. There's a lot of things that I pulled off the internet, some quotes from people and stuff like that. So I'll put this disclaimer out there. This is not stuff that I thought of and wrote down. You know, these are other people's thoughts. I have very few original thoughts, but I can certainly take somebody else's and make it my own. You know, there's an awful lot of good beliefs out there that I don't have to come up with because they've already been thought of. It says here that we had lacked the perspective to see that character building and spiritual values had to come first, and that material satisfactions were not the purpose of living. It reminds me of someone that I heard speaking a long time ago, and to be reminded that I used to think that I'm a human being and I'm struggling to have a spiritual experience, and now I realize that I'm a spiritual being and I'm struggling with this human experience. I believe that at the core of who I am spirit. I believe that this is my earth suit. I heard somebody say that one time. This is what I wear while I'm here. And I don't know if there's a there. Personally, some people do, and God bless them. I'm not sure what comes next, but I know that what you see, is not who I am. You know, you can see this body acting in certain ways. You can see, and I mean, my personality and my character will come out like that. But I found it interesting what I'd heard a while ago, that who I am is what exists in between my thoughts. You know, I am more than even what I think, you know. But what I think is important. What I feel is important, because those things determine my feelings, they determine my actions, they determine my behavior, and then my character. And I do need to change from the character that I used to be. I see the need for change. Now I admit the need for help, and a door opened up. Now, how do I get this help? You know, how do I get to these changes? First, I need to identify the things that have become my habits, that I don't want to be habits anymore. Today I'm ready. Today I embrace change. We are more than our habits. In the past, we may have been afraid that we would never be able to escape our bad habits. We may have identified ourselves with our quirks and foibles, or perhaps viewed ourselves like characters in a bad movie. I can relate to that. I used to think that I was a good person trapped in a bad person's life. You know, I was living a nightmare. This wasn't me. You know, and it was a scary place to be. Again, I needed change, but I wasn't asking for change. I needed help. I wasn't asking for it. As soon as I did, help became available. The doors opened up. Today we know that we can change. We can order our behaviors and our lives as we wish. We need to release all fear of change, embracing new ideas and positive habits. From time to time we're getting signs and signals that something wonderful is underway in us. I get this feeling. Sometimes I don't know what it is. I don't know how to identify it. Sometimes I can go a whole day without getting a spiritual thought or a spiritual feeling, without feeling connected. But when I do, those times are great. They're wonderful. They're inspirational to me. When I feel like I did something for another human, when I did something even without being discovered, when I do the right thing, I get feedback for myself. I get feedback from the universe that this is the right path, and I continue to seek that, because being at odds with myself was no place to be. You know, being at odds with myself and other people constantly. It's not where I want to be, not where I want to go back to. I need to change the habits that got me there, the thinking and the feeling that got me there. From time to time, we know that there's still nagging little habits, but we know that there's a solution. Knowing that there's a solution doesn't make me feel powerless. Doesn't make me feel doesn't give me the "ah, screw it's," that, you know, well, that's never going to change about me. That's just the way I am. I can't say that. I mean, it is the way I am right now, but that doesn't mean that that it's always going to be like this. You know, I also have to look at my assets. I mean, especially when I'm down on myself. One of the first things that I learned in this new way of life that I've gotten into is how to forgive myself. I remember talking to some people and talking about the guilt and the shame, the remorse, the regrets that I had, and there were a lot of them. I did a lot of things that made me feel bad about myself. And there were two lessons that I learned. One was about forgiveness, one was about failure. Forgiveness was, somebody asked me, they said, "Do you believe that God's forgiven you for what you've done?" And I said yes. I didn't think about it too long, but I did think about it. And the answer was yes. And they looked at me and said, "Who the heck are you not to forgive yourself?" And right then and there, it was like the light bulb went off, and I got my foot off of my neck and stopped, you know, treading on myself. I stopped putting myself down for the things that I had done wrong. Those were in the past. Those were things that if I let go of them, and if I learn the lesson and move on, then that's what they were there for. The things that I thought were failures. There was a bulletin board, not a bulletin board, a billboard on Sandy Hollow Road coming off the bypass, and it had a picture of Thomas Edison on there, and it said on the 10,000th try there was light. And somebody since has pointed out, well, it could have been 3,000 or it could have been 1,700, or whatever the number is. The thing is that there were a lot of failures. And they weren't failures. That's what it points out to me. This lesson that I learned is that the things that I do wrong just show me what don't work. You know, that's not right. It doesn't work. Move on, try something different. That's what I need to kind of embrace with this idea of changes and changing habits. That doesn't work. It causes me pain. It causes me to want to be different. So there comes then the desire and hopefully the willingness to move into action. The things that I need to do, I need to keep in touch with the God of my understanding for the strength to change, for the direction to change. And for that matter, with any higher power. God is my ultimate higher power. But when I realize the need, because of my medical condition, I need to continue to exercise. I need to continue to watch what I put into myself. I need to be mindful. And I need help with that, because I got myself into that. My thinking got me there. And I can't change my sick mind with my sick mind. I can't change my thoughts with the thoughts that caused the problems in the first place. I need some input. And so I go to outside, I go to a gym. I got a coach. I go to a weight loss thing. I go to a power greater than myself, which is pretty much anything that has different ideas than I do, because my ideas weren't causing the changes that I needed in my life. I had gotten stuck in habits. And so I sought help. I humbled myself, you know. That word for me is, it's kind of the crux of this. And talking about the seventh step, it's right there in the beginning. We humbly. The word humility doesn't mean that I think less of myself. It means that I think of myself less. You know, I believe that humble to me is knowing myself like God knows me. You know, God knows me without these masks, without He knows what I fear, He knows what I love, He knows He knows all about me. But if you take away the earth suit, you know, and get down to the meat of who I am, if you get down to even beyond my character, get down to Kevin, the essence, and we all have this essence, this soul. You know, I believe we all have fears. I believe we all have aspirations. That's the way God knows me. And if I get to be honest with myself and get to know myself like that, I get to see a few things. I get to see what I offer to the world. You know, God's gift to me was my talents, whatever they are. God's gift to you were your talents, whatever they are. Your gift to God is what you do with those talents. You know, it's not pride, it's not lack of humility that makes anybody say, "Hey, I'm good at this." It's a certain confidence, a certain knowledge that, "Hey, I'm good at this." And so that's what we offer. That's what we bring back to the table that the offerings go on. That, you know, God offered us to the world. We offer back to God what we can give to the world. And so we have to remember the good. There are these habits. There's these things that require change, and we do the best that we can with those things, going in a healthy direction to seek that change. But keep in mind the good that's there, that realize that I am good. I realize the goodness in me. It's important to know that the real me does not change. It does not need to change. Only the surface behaviors, fear-based reactions and such need to change. As I move through the process to change these things, I hold to the fact that at my core I am good. The saying, God doesn't make any junk, comes to mind, you know. And if I realize that about myself, I have to realize it about everybody else too. You know, that the idea of forgiveness for myself, when I realize the need to be forgiven, I tend to be more forgiving. You know, if I got to get my foot off of my neck, I better not put it on anybody else's. There's enough about me that needs change that I have no business looking at other people and trying to change them. Again, within reason. The thought just sprang to my mind that doesn't apply when I'm a parent. I raised two boys, one in recovery and one not in recovery, and they're two different relationships that I have. Very different. But, you know, the idea of being powerless over a child is not, I think, what we intended to mean here. I can't walk away from my duties as a parent and say, it's just, he's going to turn out how he's going to turn out. That's not the case. So I need to take responsibility for what I need to be responsible for. Getting back to the good, though, as I realize that I have fear-based reactions on the surface of who I am, and I need to change those. As I move through the process to change those things, I hold to the fact that at my core I am good. By holding on to the positive, I'm strengthened to change the negative. In my meditation, I visualize myself in a great oneness with creation. I see myself getting the proper rest, eating the right foods in the right quantity, staying physically active and mentally alert. I move through my day giving proper service in every situation that occurs. Basically doing the right thing for the right reason. Today I embrace the good. When the negative begins to come, I bless it on its way and allow it to go. It's like Greg taught me in meditation. If you have a thought come into your mind, picture it as a leaf falling onto a stream, and the stream takes it away. You know, when negative comes into my life, I don't have to let it stay there. I don't have to let it. In a book that I read, it talks about I can't stop a bird from landing on my head, but I don't have to let them build a nest there. You know, a big part of change for me was taking these thoughts that can quickly turn negative in my head and replacing them with another thought, a positive thought. Whether it be a serenity prayer or thinking about just for today or whatever it is, usually focusing on a spiritual principle of forgiveness, honesty, acceptance, surrender. Pick one. I mean, pick something positive, focus on that, and bad thoughts can be driven away. With the idea in my head that I'm going to seek to do right, and that I'm going to seek to do God's will. You know, remind myself, hey, wait a minute, I did, to the best of my ability, turn my will and my life over to the God of my understanding. Is what I'm about to do His will, or is what I'm about to do my will because of my reaction to some event or insult or whatever? As long as we practice self-reliance first, a genuine reliance on a higher power was out of the question. The basic ingredient of all humility, a desire to seek and do God's will, is missing unless we ask it in. I like this too. Mother Teresa said this: if you are truly humble, nothing can touch you, neither disgrace nor praise, because you know who you are. Knowing who I am kind of puts a shield around me, puts a buffer around me. You know, if somebody wants to point out something good or bad about myself, I take the good and I say, yeah, but I learned it here. Or, yeah, but, you know, first I say thank you. I find it hard to take praise. I find it hard I just find it hard. But what I've learned is that this is an honest gift given to me by somebody, and to turn it backwards on them and say, oh, that's not true, or, you know, no, I'm not, or whatever, that's to throw a gift back in somebody's face. The first thing I say is thank you. And the next thing is to give thanks for where it comes from. My talent is on loan from God. You know, what I bring to the table is temporary, you know, and most of the time it's heartfelt, though. We do the best we can. I mean, we look at our habits. We realize the need for change. We realize that there's good in us, and that at the core, that's all we are, is good. If God is at the core of who I am, there can't be any bad in there. If I am a child of God, if I am made in God's image, then, well, that's something different. We talk about